So forgive me this crude setup here. Hello, my name is Paul Jonack, and I have purchased a new lens. First impression of new lens. 24-70mm Lumix lens. Tada! I have new lens. Camera Lumix S1H. And voila, the first time using this amazing lens. And that's a first look video. Lumix S1 with, I hope, a battery in it. Yes. That's a nice little lens. Let's photograph on A mode like every decent person should use. Wow, that feels really good. That's the first thing I noticed, better than the 24-70mm F2.8 Sigma version I had. The focus clutch of this lens is basically this thing here, and that is basically manual focus, that is autofocus, and that's pretty cool, and it feels very nice. The other Lumix lenses I have also this Pro feature, only in the S Pro line of the lenses, and you see this beautiful red S which says other photographers, I have money, I purchase Lumix S Pro lenses. Yeah, this lens looks actually pretty cool. And let's take the first picture with this lens, and whoop, that's nice. That's basically the same lens I had. Why have I purchased the same lens again? For more money. So let's film the rest of the video with the Lumix 24-70mm F2.8 Lumix Pro version with a nice focus clutch. This lens is, I think, very good. Sometimes you will not see an optical difference between third-party lenses. Stop here. Before we go on with this video, I tested this lens even more, and I know now what this lens is special about. Micro contrast is the key word here. Micro contrast is a thing in lenses. Some people say you cannot measure it. Some people say it's more of a perception. Some say it's some kind of mysterious thing you just have to see. But people, when you Google it or maybe ask ChatGPT about it, micro contrast is how the colors are rendered from the brightest part of the image to the darkest part of the image in microscopic scale, and it gives the picture some kind of 3D pop. And immediately when I tested this lens, I saw it even in the LCD screen that the picture looks a little bit better. That it looks more like 3D. The colors are rich, and it just looks a bit better. And I wondered why is it? Is it only in my head because it costs double the amount of the Sigma lens? And is it maybe it's more expensive, so it's better? No, it's, I think, micro contrast. I think Lumix knows what they are doing, and there must be a certain feature to it or a certain secret that they don't share that makes this lens so special. And it is really amazing. The colors are amazing, and it looks better. The 16-35, the S Pro version, looks also very good. And I always thought, what is it? Is it maybe sharpness? Is it maybe some kind of special coating? It's the micro contrast. Micro contrast is a thing, and also in this lens. And I can compare it now to the Sigma version even better. The lens hood of this lens fits also attached with a UV filter on this lens. That's amazing, because when you purchase an expensive lens, I will from now on carry on this with my UV filter, especially when I work with it in work conditions where it sometimes is a little dangerous to work with it. UV filter fits with the lens hood. That's amazing. So let's compare it now to the Sigma version. What's the difference? Well, image quality, autofocus, overall image quality is better in the Lumix version. The Sigma version has a terrible autofocus. It's also heavy and bulky. It's maybe good for photos, yes, but autofocus is a thing, I get it. It's so much better in the Lumix version that even is it usable with the Lumix S5. If you purchase the OG Lumix S5 and get the Lumix 24-70mm because you saved some money instead of buying the Lumix S5 Mark X blah blah blah, this version is very good lens. So a little community Q&A about this lens. I produced a little short video and a community post on YouTube and asked you, what do you want to know about this lens? I'm pretty active on Reddit, so I asked some people on Reddit, what do you want to know about this lens? So here's a little Q&A. So the Mighty Swiss asks, how does the focus clutch having semi-hard stops work with the adjustable focus ring on the Lumix S cameras? I have the 70-100 f4, but still waiting for my camera body to ship, and I notice the focus ring feels different, not as smooth when you go past semi-hard stops. So I wonder how this affects the manual focus capabilities. If you set the focus throw to something larger than the 90 degrees on the scale printed of the focus clutch, especially since the physical response changed. Let me check this. So the Lumix 24-70 works exactly the same as the Lumix 70-200 F2.8 Pro version. The focus clutch has a little indicator here, 90 degrees throw, from meters and feet, from 0 to infinity. And when you turn then the ring past the focus clutch measurement, it just turns and it feels always the same. I think you can electronically change the focus throw, how many degrees you want to turn it in terms of focus, that you maybe have the full focus from 0 to infinity, from maybe say from here to 90 degrees. But you can also set it to like 240 degrees and even more, I think. That's completely up to you how you want to work with this lens. You work without a focus, then you need immediately manual focus, and instead of pressing a switch on the thumb, you have the lens still in your hand and you just do this, and that's so convenient. I like this very much. Does it take a filter with the hood on? Yes, it does, at least when it's a small filter. My variable ND filter does not fit with the hood on because the ring is a little bit thicker, 0.5 millimeter, and that doesn't fit with the lens hood. Fantastic lens, Redempt61 says, fantastic lens, micro contrast is insane. It is indeed insane. That's the thing. I googled what micro contrast is and I dived a little bit in on micro contrast. It is a thing in expensive lenses. That's why some lenses look just better, even when it's the same aperture and everything. That just makes the lens rich. That's why some lenses from Leica or Zeiss are so much better, or so expensive also, because it's maybe how they sharp the lens or the elements or whatever. It looks more 3D and more pop. It looks just better. I think this versus the 24-105 would be interesting. So there is a Lumix version 24-105mm f4 version and the 24-70mm f2.8 version. It depends completely how do you work. I think when you want to have a little bit more focus, a little bit more focus length, then get the f4 version. If you are like me and you want to have a pro version of... Ja. Ja, aber wenn ich kurz ein YouTube-Video machen will für meinen privaten Kanal, dann... Okay, I go to jail now. That was private property. I was standing on private property. That's actually a TV production setup over there. The building behind me was a TV production setup building, and they said that's private property. You need a Genehmigung if you want to make film here. And I said, well, that's only YouTube, and I am a little YouTuber, but they said I need it anyway. So we have more questions, more Q&A questions about this lens. On YouTube I posted a post and people asked also there some questions. Galaxy Surfer 01 fast. I want one lens that kind of does it all, especially for travel. I'm kind of considering buying it at some point, but I want to know how does it perform in terms of portrait, travel, street photography and everything. That is not a topic of a lens. I think how it performs in travel. I already have a video online about the 16-35 in comparison to the 24-70mm. For travel I would go with the 16-35mm. Travel is better when you film yourself in landscapes. You want to have a little bit more wide angle. Also for street photography, my street photography go-to lens is a 35mm, and there's no lens that can at all. I mean, when you don't give a damn about aperture, then you can buy the 24-105mm. Also, how does it compare to the S5 kit lens? This is closest that I've got to this one. I don't had ever the kit lens on this camera, the cheap kit loser lens. I don't purchase this because I make money with my camera. Got some Cyrillic name I cannot read. 2.8 versus 1.8. I don't know what to say about this. The 1.8 is the prime lens and 2.8 is not 1.8, so I don't know. And colors autofocus. Yeah, autofocus is obviously way better in the native Lumix lens. And the colors also, that comes down to the micro contrast, as I mentioned. This lens is just better. I throw some sample footage here maybe. You only see it then side by side. If you buy the Sigma version and you save the half of the money and get the Sigma version, you will be happy with this lens. It's an amazing lens. You will not be happy with the autofocus because it doesn't work in this lens. It's terrible. And it's like you have to see it with your own eyes side by side. You will notice it even in the LCD viewfinder because it's so much better in the native lens. I don't know what to say more about this lens. That's really, really fantastic. Yeah, and I forgot ND filter on this video. Can you see that I film with f8 and 14 degrees shutter angle when I move the camera? We have no motion blur here at all. That's terrible for the video. No, I don't think it is. Like I said, the lens is very good. Purchase this lens if you want to make some money with your videography or photography. Purchase this lens if you want to go with the other Lumix Pro lenses, if you want to have then a coherent lineup. If you want to travel a lot or have a little smaller setup, then get the 16-35. If you want to film yourself, get also the 16-35 because vlogging with 24-70mm, forget it. It's an insane good lens. I would even go as far as said that it makes your Lumix S5 or S5X Mark II even better than when you buy this lens. I think there's no reason to spend this much money on a camera body and don't have then any money to purchase a native Lumix lens. I made this mistake at the beginning when I got the S5. I had money for the Sigma version, that's the only money I had. I counted it and that was like Sigma version and this camera, that was it. 50-year-old Super Albinar MC 28mm F2.8 lens. Lumix 70-200, Lumix 16-35. This lens weighs about the half of this lens. If you want to travel with this lens, then good luck. That will be very heavy on your hands. 24-70 lens is always very heavy and expensive. Also this lens is expensive, but it is much, much lighter. You will have more fun on travel and your vlogging videos with this lens. For professional stuff, will you have more and better results with this lens. So I hope that helps you a bit deciding what kind of lens do you want to get. I mean, both lenses have the focus clutch, both lenses look amazing, both lenses have, as I learned, exceptional good micro contrast. That's why these lenses are looking so good. I think still this lens is better than this lens. The image quality is better in this lens. I don't know what it is, but they did something exceptional good with this lens. I love this lens. Do we even need ND filters on talking head videos on YouTube? I'm on 4 degrees shutter angle on f2.8 with no ND filter, and I use the creative video mode on the Lumix S5, but the exposure metering is set to the A mode, where I only choose the aperture and everything is done by the shutter angle. And yeah, that looks fine for me. That's maybe a topic for next video. Thank you very much. And if you ask, Paul, why didn't you test chromatic aberration? Why did you test corner sharpness or general sharpness with test chart picture? I think these tests are sometimes completely nonsense. You will not see any corner sharpness with this lens. You will not see any chromatic aberration whatsoever. This lens is so good that I couldn't find any chromatic aberration in a real world test. I think when you print something with black and white and look for chromatic aberrations, yes, you can find it, maybe, but this lens is so good, you won't notice any chromatic aberration. At least I didn't notice any, or lack of corner sharpness on f2.8 on a brick wall or anything. That's okay, people can do these tests, but I didn't see any value in these tests because in the real world, when you work with this lens and when you do things with this lens, that doesn't matter. How the image looks, micro contrast again, that's the thing. That's what matters for me. I do tests a little bit different. If you like, then subscribe. Ja, ciao. the odds that you have this client is so little, and I have now a prince as a client. I cannot tell you, I don't want to tell you exactly what prince, but I have an African prince as a client. He called me some days ago, I think a week ago, and he asked me, I didn't know at this time that he is a prince, and he told me it is an African art project about African art exhibition in Berlin, Germany, and about African art that has to go back to Africa. And he then invited me to his house. He said, I want to show you all the footage. I said, hey, okay, I bring the laptop. And he said immediately, I pay you the first hour. Just bring a laptop and let's watch the footage together, because I have to edit a documentary, and the footage is sometimes more than 10 years old. And I was in a pretty wealthy area in Berlin, in a rich street, and his house looks like a Victorian castle or a lot of art, but real art. One chair looks more expensive than my life, basically, and everything is like 200 years old. And today we had the first editing session over 3 hours, and casually he told me, okay, that's also about a king, and the king is basically his brother. And I have to edit this video about his brother, and he is the older brother and of this king, and he is then basically a prince. And we sat there, and I said, well, you're actually then a prince, right? And he, yes, I'm a prince. And I said, well, that's a little bit cool. He didn't told me at the first meeting, he only told me in the second meeting, and that was pretty funny that he is a prince from an African country. That's all I can say for now. Maybe you see then this documentary later.